Doing this thing I hate where I've filmed footage the last couple days and I haven't had any proper narration to it, and now I'm just like it feels like this wall of awful coming up and it's preventing me from making any new videos. So I'm just going to start. I'm just going to start right now. Hello. This is a new video, and I'm even trying to remember what kind of footage I filmed. Let's start with a baby shower at my it's for my cousin, or my cousin's wife, who is my cousin in law, I guess. It's for her baby shower, and a lot of my family is there. So you ready to see some of my family members?
Absolutely not. Why would you even think you would do that? Okay.
Ha!
Cake, 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 cake.
I like your plan.
Oh,
That was very gentle.
that's my Aunt Kathy. As Kath, the pregnant cousin. That is Rachel, the other pregnant cousin.
Well, if I make it out, yeah.
And yeah, she has twins. And this is sort of a Midwest fashion lineup over here.
I was like, oh.
Anyway, then I went to an adult gay dinner party at my friend Michael's house. Michael was like, "They're old, you'll love them." And everybody there was in like their late 30s, so I did very much feel like I was among my peers, which is weird for me. I don't hang out with people my age. I have like no friends my own age. Everyone I hang out with is either 10 years younger than me or 15 years older than me. So it was nice to hang out with people my own age. Somehow that was the only footage I got, but after that clip, we all sat in a circle and licked a rock to see if it tasted like cum. You remember in my last video where I was saying like I felt like I was just being too much and that I was just being too outrageous around people and like telling all these weird stories about myself for attention, and I just felt like I was weirding people out? Well, guess what? This group of people, it was very well received. So you know what? It's about audience, okay? Maybe I shouldn't hang out around uptight people sometimes. I can't help it. That's how you meet new people, is you hang around with people you don't know very well. Anyway, on Monday, I went to go get my free massage after the horrible experience I had in my video called 90-Minute Massage from Hell. And when I got there, guess what? They forgot to put me in the schedule. So first I got a parking ticket on my car, an undeserved parking ticket. I've gotten 4 parking tickets in my own parking lot where I sure as fuck paid, and I've had to like email the company. Anyway, so I go out to my car. Oh my god, I have another parking ticket. And so I show up to the massage place and they were selling like poems in a gumball machine. Okay, so I go down for my massage, and the guy did not put me on the calendar. And I was already kind of pissed from the parking ticket, and he was like, "Oh, let me get you rescheduled. I'm so sorry. This is my fault." And he looks at me kind of joking. He goes, "I guess that you don't want that same guy you saw before." And I was not amused. I looked him in the face. I was like, "Oh, so he still works here?" And he was like, "Oh, uh, yeah, was that not what you were thinking?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I kind of thought that he was a misogynist and he like touched me where I specifically told him not to, but like it's whatever." And so he was like trying to reschedule me, and I was so fed up. I just stood up and I was like, "You know what? I'm good. I'm getting out of here. Bye." And I huffed off. Like I was polite. I was as polite as a pissed off customer could be. I just like walked away. I just said, "You know what? This isn't for me." I felt that it was just beneath me to accept services at this time. It's like you gotta a fucking weirdo creepo masseuse making women uncomfortable. I called and told you about it, and you didn't fire the guy, and then you said, oh, we'll make it up to you for a horrible customer service by giving you a free massage, and then you don't put me in the fucking calendar. So that there was no massage available for 90 minutes. Anyway, so I like huffed off, and I was standing at the elevator, like almost ready to cry, and just waiting, and the elevator was taking forever. And the guy from the counter like came up to me and was like, listen, I feel really bad about this. This was totally my fault. I'll give you 2 free massages. And I was like, okay. And I took the 60-minute massage that was available at that time, like at that moment, and I had a female masseuse, and she was like, can I ask you something? I heard that the other masseuse was a misogynist to you, and could you tell me a little bit more about that? I've actually not even met the guy yet. And so I told her the story, and she was like, oh my God. And like I felt comfortable telling her because, and I was talking about this with my therapist today, it's like when I told the guy that was training him what had happened, he got that it was inappropriate, but like some of the things he said to me, like, oh, well, you know, women carry tension in their upper backs because you guys are overthinkers. You just overanalyze everything. Like the guy might have gotten that that was an outdated and kind of offensive thing to say, but a woman actually understands what that means. And what that actually means is that this man dismisses women's problems by telling them that they're crazy. Right? And so like I don't know, and this specific like implication was that like I have upper back pain because I'm just a crazy lady, you know? So anyway, so she was like, oh my God, and she was like, I'm gonna talk to my boss because that's not the story he told me. And I was like, happy to help, lady, happy to help. And I booked my next massage with her too because it was delightful. It was so relaxing and peaceful and pleasurable. Then yesterday, I went to a book club. I joined a book club. It's my first time there. It was at this bar that was kind of hipster, I guess. I was like, oh, I'll order a pizza. I'm really hungry. $24 for a pizza. In Minneapolis, I'm sorry. No. But the book club was wonderful. I was actually like, I was sitting there and I was like, oh yeah, literary analysis is literally the thing that I'm best at in the entire world. I got a perfect score on my ACT on this, and I literally went to college for this. So I was being very smart at this book club, and I think I made a really good impression. Here we are today. It is Wednesday, and I took this Friday off too. So I had a 4-day weekend, now I'm gonna have a 3-day weekend. And what happened was I woke up this morning and I was overstimulated, so I like didn't start work until 10. I was logged in at 9. I was there, I was available to answer questions. But I fucked around on the internet. I didn't really log in until I didn't really start working until 10, so I put it on my timesheet as 10. I am honest to a fault when it comes to recording how much time I work. And then I had to log out to go to therapy at 4, and then after therapy, I just did not feel like logging back in, or I said to myself, you know what, I'm just gonna lay down and play my phone game for a minute. I'm gonna play one game, and then I'm gonna log back in and I'm gonna tackle this ugly task that I always put off until the end of the week. Whatever, I don't like doing it, and sometimes I just will only do it when I absolutely have to do it, right? So then I'm like laying in bed and I'm playing this game, and I keep on not going back to my job, and now it's like almost 9 o'clock, and I've given up on the idea of doing it now. But I feel bad about myself. I feel bad about myself because I didn't finish this task. And I have all day tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. It is literally the last thing I need to do. So I have all day tomorrow to complete this task. I can totally do it in that amount of time. But I'm not feeling good about myself because I didn't do what I set out to do, which was work a full day's work today. And I told myself that I would go back in, and then I didn't, and I felt like I was kind of like stuck on my phone. Like, if I put the phone down, that means I have to do this task I don't want to do, and blah 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 blah. And I don't know, I feel like I sabotaged myself a little. But like, also, I don't know, I was maybe a little bit dysregulated, that is, from therapy, because I talked with my therapist about something my mom said to me at the baby shower, which is that she was like, Melinda, do you know, my real name is Melinda, by the way, Lindy is a nickname. She was like, Melinda, do you know what my top 2 goals in therapy are right now? And I said, what? And she was like, get out of my room more. I really just gotta get out into the world. I like my privacy too much. I feel safe in my room and I don't get out. And I was like, okay, relatable. And then she said, my number 2 priority in therapy is to heal my relationship with you. We haven't really been on speaking terms for 6 years. And I shut it down immediately. I was like, Mom, this is not the place to talk about this. And I've explicitly asked her in the past not to bring things up like this with me, that I don't want to talk about my childhood with her, that talking about the past, this is a subject that is off limits because she so routinely is upsetting. Because I've given her a chance. I've talked to her in the past about how she abused me as a child. And the response I always get is, okay, I'll share a really upsetting memory that I have with her, and she'll say, well, I don't remember that, but it definitely didn't happen because I would never do that. Which, how does that help me at all? That didn't happen? That's so weird because I've been talking about that in therapy for 20 years. You think, like, that is something that I talked to my first therapist about when I was 12 and 13. You mean, this thing that I know for a fact happened? You're saying, well, I don't remember it, but it couldn't have happened because I would never do that. And so it's this really nasty dynamic where I feel like in the past, our discussions about healing our relationship have basically been me telling my abuser my abuse memories just for her to say, no, that never happened. Are you sure you didn't dream that? Well, maybe that happened, but it wasn't like that. I would never do that, and that's not real. And like, that is not a discussion that I'm willing to have again. For years, I've just written her off as being unable to actually apologize to me because she's like pathologically incapable of accepting responsibility for her actions, and she will not believe me. When, whether she remembers it actually or not is a matter of doubt, but let's say she really doesn't remember it. She will not believe me that happened. And so it's like I'm like coming to my abuser hoping to heal some wounds, and I tell her what it was that she did that hurt me, and she tells me that I'm crazy or that I have some vendetta against her. It's like I have this conspiracy about how she's a bad person and I'm just making things up, and I will not have that conversation again. And for years in therapy, I've been operating under the idea that Mom isn't going to apologize. She's not going to come around one day and say, oh, gee, I have to admit, I remember all of those things and I'm so sorry. It was inhumane. I'm so sorry I put you through that pain, and I totally acknowledge and take responsibility for my actions. Or even just a simple, I believe you. I really do, and I'm sorry. It's like, we're not going to get to that point with her. And I have no reason to think that she's at that point now, right? So I've just been working on my own healing journey, having just given up on her, right? And not only that, but let's say she's severely mentally ill person, okay? And let's say that I said, okay, she's severely mentally ill. She probably doesn't remember what happened. She has really bad PTSD from her marriage to my abusive father. She's, she was drinking a lot at the time. She was doing a lot of drugs. And let's just give her the benefit of the doubt and say she's just literally mentally incapable of taking responsibility for what she did at that time. It sucks, but let's say that I can accept that. Let's say I can accept that. I can't, and I kind of can. That's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that she lacks some sort of fundamental social understanding. She's a person who cannot read the room, cannot read the person sitting in front of her, just cannot gauge how her words are going to affect people. She calls it having no filter, but what the effect of it is that she will say, it's like a supernatural talent that she has. She will say the exact wrong thing to you. She will say the thing that is most hurtful, that is the biggest button pusher, right? She, like, things that trigger my PTSD instantly every time I'm around her, on the phone, in person. I am on guard because she says this bizarre, cruel shit to me all the time. And of course, I'm not the only person who recognizes this. Everyone knows this about her. And my family that I've talked to about this, we all agree that there's this dynamic there where it's like, okay, she's mentally unwell, she has this social problem, and maybe she can't help it. But it happens so often, and it is so specifically targeted. I mean, like, it's almost like she's a genius at this. It's like, it almost feels like it can't be an accident that she just says these things. Like, and I do think that in a way she's an angry person, and it comes out in passive aggression because because whenever you say afterwards, like, how could you say that to me? That was so embarrassing. You said that in front of everyone. You know this, and this about me. How could you think that that was appropriate? And she'll say, well, I didn't mean anything by it. You're just twisting this to make me the bad guy again. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, and whatever you think I meant by that, I didn't mean that. It's like, I've got this woman who I cannot talk about the past with, because I'm never going to play this game again where where we sit around and discuss if my abuse memories are real or not. Like, I do not need her to acknowledge or approve of my abuse memories. And I don't need her forgiveness. I'm moving on without her. And then two, present day, being in her presence triggers my PTSD constantly. So the way we have our relationships right now is like, she's going to be at family holidays, she's going to be at birthday parties, and she and I can be polite and at arm's length, distant, like never getting too close, never having a real conversation, but exchanging niceties, sharing big life updates, that sort of thing. And I feel like that's as close as we can get, because she can't take responsibility for the past, and being around her now triggers my PTSD, which, I mean, the irony is, like, if you didn't abuse me as a child, why do you trigger my PTSD so badly, right? And I just don't feel like there's any way around those two things. Reconcile how? Reconcile to do what? I can't be around you. What do I get out of this? What do I get out of this? Like, the only thing I can see, I can see why she wants to do this. I'm sure she has a guilty conscience. I'm sure that it bothers her that her oldest child doesn't speak to her. And I'm sure that it's embarrassing for her in front of our family that they know that we don't have a relationship. And like, my family loves me. My extended family, I love them. They love me. And the ones that I have talked to about this know what I'm talking about. Let's just say that. So it's like she wants to ease her conscience, but at what cost to me? You expect me to sacrifice my well-being to just say, "Oh, okay, I forgive you. We can talk all the time again, and we can have a good relationship now," as if I am just spitefully as if I spitefully cut her out of my life rather than doing it out of absolute necessity for my own health. It's so frustrating. I've told her specifically we don't talk about the past, but here she is coming in my face again, like saying we need to talk about the past. And so I think that what I'm going to say to her is that I will entertain this discussion at a therapy appointment with your doctor. And I'm like imagining like a therapy appointment with her therapist, her and me. And I am going to, as calmly and kindly as I can, explain exactly what I just said about why I don't think that reconciling is possible. And just broadly posing the question, like, what am I gonna get out of this? Why should I be here? Like, what's the point? Because, like, I'm not just gonna show up and be in pain and make things worse for myself for her benefit. Like, I don't want her to suffer. I want her to have a good rest of her life, but if it comes down to her well-being or my well-being, I choose myself. When I was a kid, I had no adult to stand up for me. And I just had to take her abuse, my father's abuse, my brother's abuse, and I had to sacrifice how I was feeling for my own safety. I couldn't tell my dad that he scared the shit out of me because he scared the shit out of me. And like, there would have been really bad consequences for that. And I didn't have the developmental capacity to take on my mom because she would fight me like I was an adult when I was like 12 years old. You can't fight an adult like you're an adult when you're 12 years old, and she held so much power over my life. I mean, the power imbalance between the two of us, and like I said, she has this deviousness about her to cut you down. And I just had no defense against that when I was a kid. And so it's like, when I was a kid, I never had the adult that I needed to protect me from these people. Death took care of my dad, but now my mom, it's like, it's up to me to defend myself from her and from her bullshit. And I don't want her to be in pain, but like I said, if it's me or her, I'm choosing me. I owe it to myself. I have a duty to myself, and I take that really seriously. Hi guys, now it's 10 p.m. the next day. This vlog is a mess, and I apologize for how scattered it is. I worked 12.4 hours today, but you know what the good news is? I have tomorrow off. So maybe I can make a normal video for once. Please accept my apologies for this one. Okay, bye.